I think self-control for me is being okay saying no when people ask me to do things that is just completely unrealistic of me to even be doing. And I think it's also setting boundaries for yourself and creating that space and time for movement, exercising, yoga, playing with your dog, just playing in general, laughing, getting out in the nature. I think that takes a lot of self-control to be able to do that day in and day out.
You're listening to Ambitious AF, a podcast that will help you level up, find positivity, and put yourself on top right now and every day for the rest of your life. I'm your host, Caroline Lewis, and each week I will bring you a guest or thought that will motivate you to get out of bed every morning with the willingness to succeed. Being ambitious means you are proud of who you are and everything you've accomplished. Only you can make that happen, though. But with the help of this podcast, you will rise to the top. You will find success. You will believe in yourself and manifest happiness. And most importantly, you will become ambitious AF. I know you are eager to begin, so let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode here on Ambitious AF. I know, I can't believe I have another episode for you guys. I'm super excited to get on. I'm actually in my little podcasting zone and the sun is just blaring down on me, but good thing you don't have to really look at anyone when you are recording a podcast episode. So today I wanted to focus on self-control and what that looks like. And I think self-control ranges person to person. I think maybe what I think self-control means, you might agree with or you might totally disagree with, because self-control, and as we have stated before here on this podcast, each individual one, each person, all of us are different, right? We're all unique, we're all different, we all have our own opinions, thoughts, the way we do things. So for me, self-control really dials into not saying yes to everything clients, friends, family ask of me, but also having the self-control to do other things besides work. So that is a big one for me, because as I was mentioning in my past episode that I just launched a week ago, I think, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago at this point, and that was kind of like my coming back onto the podcast and why I've been out and busy and whatnot. So self-control for me is saying no when things and tasks are just way too unrealistic in the time frame that people want them, right? But then also making sure that I look at my calendar every week and I block out time for myself. That to me is self-control. So a little like backstory on me. So I'm normally a very healthy person. In fact, actually, I just got over COVID. So if any of you guys had COVID before, I'd love to hear your journey throughout the COVID realm, because I got hit hard with the whole breathing, heart rate, lungs, coughing. Oh my gosh, my cough was disgusting. It was the weirdest. And I actually my cough, and I used to cough a lot before COVID. And now it's just like heightened. It's really strange. So if I take a pause, it's probably because when I start talking a lot, I have this like urge to cough. And I've had that ever since COVID. So anyways, that's not the point of this podcast, but any of you guys who have COVID, I would love to hear your thoughts and experience throughout that. But, so normally I'm a pretty healthy person, and I think COVID just kind of ran through like my family and people that I know. And that's the reason I got it. But normally I exercise every day, or I'm out hiking. I take my dog out. I go bike riding. I rollerblade. I love to stay active. And for me, I know when I get super stressed, I just work. I work. And to the point where I will go like 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. and the only breaks I have is to take my dog out to go to the bathroom, right? Which is not fair for her, and it's also not fair for me. When I'm stressed, I also don't think of like eating or taking time to eat. I just like shove food in my mouth and just keep going, right? That's how I am. And I know that about myself. But one thing when I'm stressed, and I feel like I have tons of workload or expectations, stuff like that on me, I don't go outside because I'm inside working the whole time, right? And that takes a massive toll on my mental health for sure. And it's crazy because yesterday I had this massive breakdown, wanted to give up on everything. I look at my to-do list, it's massive. I'm just like, when am I ever going to get a break? Had this huge, business owner breakdown, which happens a lot. And I think every business owner would agree with that. And I like slammed my computer shut and I was like, F this, I'm done. I'm going to go, Scarlett and I are going to go hike. And it was like 4:00, which here in Utah, it starts to get dark around 6 now. I think sunset's at 6:30. So, I mean, when you're hiking at night, it's not like it's a bad thing, but it can be a little sketchy, right? Because we definitely have wild animals or wild people. So I was like, I don't even care at this point. I need to get out of this freaking house. I need to shut down this computer. I need to go in nature because I knew that was like the one way to calm myself. And that is self-control to me, right? So I did. So I shut my computer down. My poor boyfriend, he was getting the wrath of everything. I was such a negative person. And I go out and Scarlett and I have this beautiful hike, beautiful hike. And it was only like 2 hours we were gone, I think it was. But it's been snowing here. So I know, which is crazy, but it's been snowing. So we got to play in the snow and I got to, kind of sweat it out, get my heart rate up. We were hiking uphill, just phone off. Well, I was taking pictures of Scarlett, so phone not off, but it was on silent. So, and I couldn't respond to anyone anyways because I didn't have service where I was. And we were just going and going and going, and it just felt so good to me to just get out of the house, get some fresh air. It was nice and cold, which I love. And, just gave me a chance to pause. And for me, that's what self-control is really all about. Because I think we get in this habit of doing and doing and doing and going and going and going. And we just let all of our mental health, our health in general, just slip by because we think we think that's the normal, or society pressures us to just keep up with it, right? But if you're in that state of mind or that state of reality, it's really obviously not good for you, but that tells me that you don't have any self-control. Because for me, I think a lot of people think self-control is only when it comes down to food, right? Like whether you are underweight or overweight, self-control is eating healthy or not drinking every day or, whatever that looks like. I think people always relate self-control to just food and beverages and drinking. But for me, it's not at all. But maybe that's because I eat very healthy and I don't drink like Monday through Friday. So that could just be me. But I think self-control for me is forcing myself, so that's the self-control, to take time off, to have a break, to not work 24/7, to relax, to be okay relaxing, to book a spa day and turn my phone off or whatever that is. That to me is what self-control is about. And I think a lot of people need to kind of look at self-control in that sense, not just self-control around food or the way you look or you feel like you look, right? I mean, that type of self-control is the health self-control, and that can be pretty addictive, right? Whether you're not eating enough or you're eating too much and you're just constantly shaming yourself. But, you have that self-control to eat healthy in quotations, because you also need to be okay if you want fast food every once in a while, right? That's totally fine. But you also have to think of self-control in a way of just your day and day activities, right? If you want to take time to listen to podcasts for 30 minutes during the day, block it out in your calendar and actually do it. That's the self-control of actually doing that, right? If you want to go hiking, or if you want to play with your dog, or take time off to pay attention to your kids, or whatever that circumstance is like for you, having the self-control to say, okay, enough world, I am going to shut everything down and I'm just going to focus on this, which is me. That takes a lot, right? And I want us all to be comfortable with that. And when you do take these times off, don't beat yourself up. Don't feel guilty for taking this time off, right? Don't think of like all the work you have to do, or, oh, I should be playing with my kids right now, or I should be spending time with my husband or my boyfriend. I should be cooking dinner. I should be cleaning the house. I should be doing the groceries. I should be doing, right? Because a lot of us, when we take a break, air quotes again, I know you can't see that, but when we take a break, we're actually more worried about everything else going around, that we're not really taking a break, right? So yesterday, when I had this little business breakdown, I was just about to give up. I knew the one thing that could talk me out of that is myself and being in nature, because to me, that's like the only way I can actually calm down. To laugh at Scarlett when she does hot laps after she poops a big one in the woods, or she is playing with snow and throwing it up and catching it and rolling around in it. And I'm just thinking, God, that's gotta be so cold. But she's loving it, right? So it was a time for pause. It wasn't a time for reflection, because I didn't think of anything other than how pretty is this, how I needed this, how Scarlett needed this, right? I just focused on her and focused on playing with her. And it wasn't a time to, gather your thoughts around work or what people have said to you or what people want you to do. It's not a time to just crunch all of that stuff in your head. It's a time for complete silence in your head, right? For all of that chitter chatter that goes off in your brain, it's time to just not pay attention to that, not create that at all. And that is the self-control that we all need, and we need to do it more often. So when it comes to self-control, don't just think it's self-control around food or drinking or whatever that looks like, or exercising, right? Think of it as self-control on well-being, right? Self-control on your well-being. Because creating that space for yourself, it takes a lot of work to actually do it, to actually block out that time in your calendar, to not accept sales calls, or to not make dinner on time when you're supposed to, or to not play with your kids and go take a bath by yourself instead, or whatever that looks like, right? That takes a lot of effort and courage even. And of course, it takes a lot of self-control to actually do that. So the next time you guys are stressed or burnt out, just know that it's normal, but it shouldn't be your constant state of mind, right? And if it is, you need to do something about it. You need to take time off, and however many days or hours that looks like, you need to be okay with that. Because I guarantee you will come back stronger with a more fresh mindset, fresh thought process, fresh energy than if you just keep going and going and going and going, right? So please don't keep going and going and going. Take some time, however, or whatever that time off looks like, be okay with it. Don't feel guilty, but have the control to actually take the time off that you need. All right, my friends, that is everything for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Of course, I don't run ads or anything like that to this episode, so it's totally growing all organic, but it does help me to hear from you all. Please, please, please rate and review this podcast so that not only I can hear what you think of the episodes, but you can help spread the word and get this podcast to more listeners in case it helps them with whatever they're struggling, right? So that is obviously the whole goal of this. So I appreciate you all so, so much. Thank you so much for listening, and have an amazing day. See ya.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you got some value or just feel fired up, I would love for you to take a screenshot and tag me in your Instagram stories. It's always so motivating to see you getting the inspiration you needed to level up for my podcast. I'm going to keep showing up and bringing my best self to these episodes, and I encourage you to do the same. If you think a friend or family member would enjoy this episode, I would love for you to share the ambition. I can't wait to chat next week, but until then, keep being ambitious AF.